Don't be overly dejected at your lack of success, because there's going to be more failure and more boring days where things don't work than there will be those unique aha moments.
Gut hormones. 30 years ago, there was not much interest in these small signaling molecules. Today, they are the center of attention for developing new drugs to counteract diabetes and obesity. Daniel Drucker has been one of the driving forces behind this evolution. And for this, he is receiving the 2019 EASD Novo Nordisk Foundation Diabetes Prize for Excellence.
We love to eat, we love to drink. We don't want to think about what happens later. And we're only aware of our gut when things don't work well, when we have nausea, vomiting, motility problems. And for decades, no one ever said, when I grow up, I want to be a gut hormone endocrinologist or scientist.
After graduating in medicine from the University of Toronto in 1980, Daniel Drucker's mentor, Gerard Burrow, advised him to study thyroid hormones at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston. But when he got there, he was told, no room in the thyroid project. You have to work on glucagon.
I said, I can't work on glucagon. I have to work on thyroid hormone. And they said, well, you can go home because there's no room. So I started to work on the glucagon gene. It was probably the most fortunate set of circumstances early on in my career.
At that time, most of the interest in hormones that lower glucose focused on insulin. However, researchers got a surprise when they cloned and sequenced the precursor of glucagon. The gene contained 2 additional glucagon-like sequences. One of these, GLP-1, turned out to increase insulin secretion significantly.
Understanding that GLP-1 was more than just an insulin-stimulating hormone, that it also controlled motility and appetite and body weight, all of those additional scientific pieces of the puzzle made it much more attractive to keep working on.
However, when GLP-1 was given to humans, it caused nausea and vomiting, and many pharmaceutical companies quickly abandoned play.
The response I got was, oh sure, it makes people sick. They stop eating, so they lose weight. Who needs a drug that makes people sick as a weight loss agent? So again, it took many years to say that, you could lose weight without having nausea and vomiting.
Lower doses and slow titration made the drug tolerable for people, but using natural GLP-1 was problematic because it degrades quickly in the body. Help in developing a stable version of GLP-1 arrived from a somewhat unexpected source.
And the credit really goes to John Eng working with Raufman and colleagues. They pulled out this fascinating GLP-1 protein from lizard venom. And so we very quickly, a year or two later, said, well, where does this come from and how is it made and is it lizard GLP-1?
The peptide from the venom of the poisonous Gila monster proved to be an important breakthrough and led to the FDA approving the drug exenatide in 2005. However, in 2008, all new diabetes drugs had to demonstrate cardiovascular safety, which somewhat bunkered innovation in new GLP-1 drugs.
Many of the obesity drugs failed because of cardiovascular safety. And so we became very interested because the receptors for GLP-1 were in the heart. There were hints that it changed blood pressure and blood flow. And we began to ask, well, is it going to be favorable or not favorable?
What initially appeared to be a potential hazard turned out 10 years later to be a revelation when the results of the cardiovascular outcome studies were published.
And that was amazing. Reduced heart attacks, strokes, cardiovascular death, and all-cause mortality. That was an amazingly important observation that really solidified the importance of GLP-1. In sports, very often there's only one winner, and science is a bit like that. We remember the big discoveries, but we should value all the contributions from the many individuals who work so hard to really build important stories in science. If one is working in a field for decades and one actually sees the benefits extend to helping people live healthier lives and longer, more productive lives, that's an amazing special day.
In science, having many disappointments wedged between the special days is par for the course.
All of those bad days, bad months, the dejection, etc., I can come home and I have a family, an amazing wife, terrific children, grandchildren, and honestly, all of the worries and the frustrations and the disappointments just melt away.
I think that Dan has always been so optimistic about how things were going that when there was something great going on, that was communicated more so than coming home grumpy and sad that things weren't going well.
A regular family activity involves spending time together at the family cottage just north of Toronto.
We all congregate up there, spend days, sometimes weeks together, share meals, go out on the lake together, enjoy each other's company, and that to me is priceless. Scientists can be a little full of themselves, a little narcissistic, a little egotistical. There's nothing like being at the cottage at 6 a.m. when my 2-year-old grandson wakes up and he just looks at me and he says, "Zeta Dan, change my diaper right now." And that really reminds one of who one is and what our important jobs are in life, and not to take oneself too seriously.
According to Daniel Drucker, it all comes down to hard work and recovering when you get knocked down. And most importantly, you sometimes need to take swings at crazy ideas. To study GLP-1 secretions, Daniel Drucker and his colleagues created small tumors in mice that could overproduce the gut hormones.
We noticed that the intestines of the mice with these glucagon-producing tumors were very large. And we got very excited. We said, maybe the tumors are making something that stimulates intestinal growth. And that turned out to be GLP-2.
They thought that GLP-2 might help people with short bowel syndrome, a condition caused by a lack of functional small intestine. People with this condition have constant diarrhea, malnutrition, and weight loss, and some even have fatty liver and may need a transplant.
The fatty liver reversed and their liver enzymes normalized. And some of them could even lead normal lives without needing intravenous nutrition. And it was all because of a serendipitous observation that we pursued.
In the late 1990s, researchers in the field began to focus on the DPP-4 enzyme, which degrades gut hormones. By inhibiting DPP-4, multiple researchers developed drugs to improve the effect of GLP-1 and other gut hormones. This also led to the discovery of an intriguing link.
GLP-1 reduces inflammation. DPP-4 controls inflammation. GLP-2 reduces intestinal and systemic inflammation. So all of a sudden, the major themes of our research have converged on inflammation.
The links between the immune system, inflammation in the body, and diseases such as obesity, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases are increasingly clear. But turning this knowledge into therapy will still take years.
One needs precision, one needs accuracy, and for most of us golfers and scientists, we're not going to be amazing most of the time, but we're going to keep working at it. We're going to keep doing our best. And every once in a while, any scientist or any golfer can have an amazing moment and make a major discovery in science or an amazing shot in golf. And those moments are really precious.